Hey, welcome to the first installment of the Mosaic Nordic cowl that I'm running in 2022. This is so great, you guys. So we're gonna get started by crocheting up the first panel, and I'm not quite sure what this panel is called yet while I am filming this, so we shall see. But I really like it. I think in a lot of Scandinavian Nordic designs we have these crosses, and so I picked this design as the first one because it is a pretty easy repeat. Later on I'll have a design that I made that's the Nordic star, and that's just a little bit more finicky and complicated. So I thought I'd start with this really easy pattern to begin with as the first panel for the Nordic Mosaic cowl, and I really can't wait to show you what to do. Really can't wait to show you how to get started and how this blanket is so fun. It's so pretty, and I'm really glad that you're part of it. In this first video, I am going to be working up my actual blanket. This is just a sample I made for promotional photos for the first section. And so for this first video, I'm going to be working on my actual blanket. I'm just going to be starting it here as I'm recording. I will have various other references and videos that will help you along the way. But this first one will be pretty comprehensive on my foundation single crochet stitches that I do just as my very first row, and then how to read the chart. There will also be instructions on how to do the beginning and ending border stitch, and just some basics like that. So without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started, and then where possible, like up in the corner, I'm going to link videos that you may want to watch, and then down in the caption below there will also be plenty of resources for you that you can click and just search around. Thank you for joining me for this first video for the Nordic cowl, section 1, for these, I don't know what to call these, stars? Not really stars. Crosses? Scandinavian cross? I don't know. I'm a nurse, so I'm like, oh, it's a red cross or something, but I'll come up with it. Doesn't matter right now. Okay, so let's get started. The yarn that I'm using for this project was just, it was provided by Lion Brand yarn for the use of this Mosaic Nordic cowl, and it's Wool Ease is the yarn that I chose. So the Wool Ease, it's 80% acrylic, so mostly acrylic with a little bit of wool in there. It makes it machine washable and dryable, and it's a worsted weight yarn, medium 4 weight. And each skein has 197 yards. They're 3 ounce or 85 gram. So this color here is called linen, and this one is cranberry. I just decided to go with a little bit different shades than my corner to corner mosaic, or my corner to corner Nordic cowl that I ran last year. If you remember, the red was just like a true red, like a really bright Christmas red, and then the white was just a like bright white. So here it's just a little more deep, a little more muted, just more cozy, so just a different feel. It's still very Christmassy, still very wintry, as far as like the US Christmas winter-ish. They're just a little bit different shade of red and white. I will put links, affiliate links below to these the yarns, and then also the hook. So this hook I'm using is a Furls Streamline Swirl. It's a resin hook, and then the colorway is called Cream. I'm using a size H or a 5mm hook. If you've ever done mosaic crochet, you may have found that you want to use a different size hook. Maybe if your tension is really loose, you'll want to go down a hook size. But this blanket is yours, it's your cowl. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine, so you can use whatever hook and whatever yarn you want. If you choose to make like your yarn use super bulky and kind of make it just different, like that's fine. You can do that for sure. You may also see in videos up ahead where I am using this Furls Odyssey. This is in red and nickel. This is like a metal hook, and it's heavier. I really like the Odyssey hook. This is what was given to me last year for my Nordic cow, the corner to corner. And then this one I'm using for my monthly Mosaic mystery cow. That's a year-long cow that I've been running in 2022. You can see the links below. So I just decided to use this hook or this hook. You'll see in different videos me using. I really like them both. The resin is lighter. This one is a little bit heavier, but they both feel really good to crochet with. So I use these all the time in all my projects. So I buy some of them with my own money. Frills just happened to give these to me for my crochet alongs for videos and whatnot. So I really do like the Frills hooks. I'll put links below. Use whatever hook that you want that's comfortable in your hand, but these are very comfortable. Okay, so next we're going to go over the chart. So this is the chart for this first section, and if you've never read an overlay mosaic chart before, I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of the basics. So this chart has 53 stitches on it. I know the quality isn't great, but 53 stitches. This first stitch here and this last stitch here are beginning and ending border stitches, and those are just single crochets. I'm going to be, if you've seen any of my other videos or been involved in my project, I'm going to be working up these beginning and ending border stitches a little bit different than I have in the past, so don't get confused. I'm just trying out a new way that I have seen other designers use in other patterns, so I'm going to try that out this time, and I seem to like it. So bear with me, it's kind of new to me, but we're going to go with it. So the first and the last stitch are the border stitches that we're going to use to work our envelope border around the whole thing, and then these stitches in the middle. This stitch 52, actually, this is just like an extra stitch to kind of even out my pattern a little bit. But then in between stitch 2 to stitch 51, that's 50 stitches. This is just the repeat. In all of the charts that we have for this crochet along, you'll see that I'm going to give you like a 50 stitch repeat. So all your charts will have 53 stitches, but in the middle it's going to be 50 stitch repeat, so that you can decide, are you just going to make like a table runner that's 50 stitches long, or are you going to make like a really huge blanket that's 6 repeats long? Or for this cow, I'm going to do 4 repeats long, and so that's just, I'll do 50 times 4 plus 3. So I'm going to do a foundation row. It's going to have 203 stitches in it. You'll see that I have this red line over here that's marking the beginning of my repeat, and this red line here that's marking the end of my repeat. So you just repeat that as many times as you want for your blanket. But then you also see I have another red line right here, and that's because this pattern actually is a 10 stitch repeat. So if you work up these 10 stitches over and over again to the end of your blanket, you'll do just fine. But this picture is just to show the 50 stitch repeat, just for the sake of continuity. Okay, I hope that makes sense. You will notice here in the middle we have white boxes, we have black boxes, we have white boxes with X's, we have black boxes with X's. Whenever you see a box with an X, we are going to do a double crochet in the front loop only 2 rows below. So I labeled that as front loop only double crochet. Other designers and other crochet patterns like that are similar to this may call it like a drop down double crochet. I'm using the US terms for this, US terminology. So for UK terms, that's like a drop down treble crochet. But you'll hear me saying drop down drop down double, you'll see your drop down stitch, front loop only double crochet. I'm going to be intermixing these terminologies all the way through. So if you ever see an X, if it's a X in a white box or X in a black box, you are going to be working your drop down double 2 rows below. If ever you see a box that's empty that doesn't have an X in it, whether it's white or whether it's black, it's just going to be a single crochet in the back loop only. So the drop down doubles are in the front loop, the single crochets are going to be in the back loop only. You will learn more about these as we go along. Right now it might be confusing if this is your first time. If you know all about this, you've probably already skipped ahead already. Okay, you'll notice on each side, I'm starting over here on the right side. Overlay mosaic crochet starts right side to left side, and each row is worked in a different color. So row 1, we're going to start over here on the right, and then we're going to work to the left. And once we get to the end, I'm going to fasten off and snip. And then I'm going to go back over here to the right side, pick up color B, and work from right to left with color B, and fasten off at the end and snip it. So you will notice that I have all of this fringe on either side. That's because each row is worked in a different color, and then you fasten off on the side and start again on this side. The way that you get all of your colors to show through and you get your pattern is because of the drop down stitches. Drop down double crochet stitches, you drop down over the color that you're not using and you hide that color to bring the pattern out. I'm going to show you the reverse side and you'll see that we have stripes here. And this proves to you that each row is worked up in a different color, but because we've dropped down and we've hidden those stitches of the color that we're not using, that's how we get our design. That's how we get our pattern. So that's really cool. So here you can see this is my beginning border stitch here, my ending border stitch here, and then repeats in the middle. Okay, so back to the chart. When I say that no matter if the box is black or if the box is white, you will be using whatever color, like right here, for example, this is a color B row. So even though this is white, or color looks like color A, we're still going to be using color B, and we're just going to single crochet in the back loop only since it's an empty box. So we use color B, but single crochet in the back loop only. And then here it's an empty black box, an empty B box, we're still going to single crochet in the back loop only. So you'll notice for this first row, I'm going to show you how to do the foundation single crochet that I use to start all of my overlay mosaic crochet patterns. And then the second row is just single crochet in the back loop only all the way across. And I'll show you how to work that. And then here's where it gets more complicated with our drop down doubles, but it's really not complicated. It looks a lot more complicated than it is, but really after we get past row 3 or row 4, maybe, you will get the hang of it. And I'm not going to show you, this video isn't going to walk you through this whole entire pattern. It's just going to walk you through, you know, these first few rows, and then you'll have the hang of it, and the rest of it will be a waste of time. I will link the free chart. This free chart is on my website, so I will link that, and then you can look at that while you crochet up your piece. Okay, maybe one day I'll have videos that just explain the basics, but I do have a course on designing your own mosaic charts if you want. I'm going to link that below. I have an e-course to take that you can take. All right, everybody. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to learn is how to do the foundation single crochet row. So here we go. For the sake of the cow, color A is going to be my white, is going to be my linen yarn. And then color B, which is going to be black on the chart, is going to be the red, is going to be my cranberry color. So that works out well. So for row 1, I'm going to use my linen. Okay, I will show you the foundation single crochet right here. I also have another video, which I will try to link right here, of me teaching foundation single crochet. But that was taken a couple years ago, so I'm just going to show you again. To start, you make a slip knot and then insert your hook. I use this foundation single crochet to start these projects because I think it's better than chaining a certain number and then going back and doing a single crochet over it, because I've found that I miscount a lot of times, and then by the time I'm on my second row and I'm like, oh my gosh, I miscounted, or where am I? It's just very easy. So say like I'm gonna do 203 stitches, but say I accidentally did like 210 just because I got carried away. I can easily pull back those stitches really fast, and I'll show you that. If you prefer and this is too confusing for you and you just want to stick with what you know, you can definitely chain 204 and then single crochet on your second row. You can do that for your foundation, but just however you want to. If you want to do that and skip ahead, I will put a timestamp or something that'll start with row 2. Without further ado, here we go. So we made our slip knot and we've inserted our hook, and now we'll chain 2. 1, 2. Okay, so we've chained 2, and now in that second chain from the hook, the first chain that we made, we're going to insert our hook, grab our yarn and pull up 1 loop. We're going to grab our yarn again and pull up another loop. And then we're going to grab our yarn again and pull through the 2 loops. And that is our first foundation single crochet. What's going to be different about the next ones is we're not going to do the chain 2 at the beginning. That's just like unique for the first stitch. But instead, the side that's closest to our working yarn, we're going to be working into the stitches on this side. The stitches right here, this is like our single crochet, but under here is like our chains. So you notice there's like a little V here, kind of like a chain, the bottom 2 sides of your chain. So what you're going to do is insert your hook right there. So you have your 2 sides of your chain right there. And then you're going to yarn over, or grab your yarn and pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, so it is just 1 more yarn over, pull through 1 than a single crochet is. Okay, then here we see that looks like 2 single crochets on that side, and this is our chain side. So here's our first chain, and then the second chain is right here, and we're going to work through that for stitch 3. So go through both, so you have 2 chain looking things right there. Grab your yarn, pull through those. Grab your yarn, pull through 1. Grab your yarn, pull through both of those. As you are doing if this is your first time doing this, you may be crocheting looser than you normally are, so just watch your tension, okay? You might want to work up a swatch first, just to practice. But that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do that 203 times. If you want to, you can do 3 repeats, and so then your stitch count will be, what, 50 times 3, which is 150 plus 3, so 153. But if you want to do 4 repeats like I am going to do, then you can do that as well. Okay, so I went through that. Yarn over, pull through 2, 1, 1, 2. Excuse me, sometimes I get messed up when I'm talking, which does not make me a great teacher. Okay, so again, this is the single crochet side. You can start to see those V's on the top. Remember to work in the chain side down below. So this first thing that we're doing, inserting our hook through that chain part, grabbing our hook and pulling through the chain, that counts as making another chain. And then here is where we make our single crochet. So if you want to think of it that way, you can. Where the first thing we're doing is making a chain, and then you make your single crochet. It'll take a little bit of practice if this is new for you, to figure out where you're gonna go, where you're gonna insert your hook. But make sure you're not doing it in the single crochet, but you're gonna go a little bit below that to find your chain. I hope this is making sense. If not, I'll link to my other video. But you can also find other resources if this isn't making sense to you. And if you would rather do your, chain 204 and then single crochet 203, you can go ahead and do that. But this is just what I'm going to be doing. So I'm about to turn off my video, and I will see you at the end after you've gotten 204 or 204, 203, or your 153, however many you're going to do. I'll see you at the end. Okay? Okay, I have double checked and recounted all this, and I have 203 stitches. Like I said before, each row is worked in a different color, and we're going to work from right to left. So at the end of every row, you're going to cut your yarn and fasten off. But here's the deal. Do not weave in all your ends. Okay, you'll see in my sample here, all my ends are still out like that. Keep your ends out. A lot of times I find when I get to the end of a row, and then I'm working my next row, I'm like, oh, I made a mistake somewhere. And so you can easily, if the row previous, you can undo your yarn and go back, and so that way you don't frog your whole blanket. So do not weave in your end. You want your end in case you need to fix a mistake. But then at the end, you'll have a million ends when you're all finished with your blanket. You don't want to weave in all of that. That's like a waste of time. So what we're going to do at the end, like we might trim this a little bit, and then we're going to do what's called an envelope border, and we're going to encase all of these ends in that envelope border. So do not, I repeat, do not weave in all your ends. I mean, if you do not want to do an envelope border, then by all means, sure, weave in all your ends, but just don't do it. I mean, you can if you want, but for the sake of the cow, we will not be doing that. Okay, so I fastened off, and now I'm ready to start onto row 2. For row 2, we go back to the very beginning, to the right side of your work. If you're left-handed, you can definitely work your charts from the left side to the right side. Oops, but instead right now work from the right to the left. And so how I know where to start is the points of the V's from your single crochet stitches, or your foundation single crochet stitches. The bottom of your V, you'll see that this is a stitch. The bottom point is going to point to the right. So that's how you know where to start. And so I'm going to work my first stitch here and on that side. My kids are up from their nap now, so you will be hearing them. Okay, so for row 2, we're going to use our color B. So in my case, this will be the red. So we're going to use color B. And for this first stitch, we're going to be doing what is called our beginning border stitch. And then we'll end it with our ending border stitch. And really, actually, since I'm just trying out this new technique, I should just label these the same, because it's the same stitch. I used to do it a little different way, where I need to differentiate them, but Anyway, I realize I could just go ahead and change it right now, but I'm not going to. So we're going to use color B for the whole thing, and we'll start with our beginning border stitch, and then we are going to do, if you remember, if the box is empty and there's no X in it, we're going to do a single crochet in the back loop, even if it's a white box or a black box. I got caught up in the last video. So even though it looks like in this second row, this color B row, even though it looks like there's color change happening from white to black, it's not actually happening as you crochet it. You'll see that color change happen later when you do these drop down double crochets. So for this whole color B row, we are just going to be using color B. So I'm going to be using my red this whole way through, and since they're just empty boxes all the way through, no X's, the whole row will just be back loop only double crochet. No, sorry, back loop only single crochet, scratch that, back loop only single crochet all the way down. I guess if you were in UK terms, it would be back loop only double crochet, but single crochet US terms. The difference being the first stitch and the last stitch will be a bit different. The first and last stitch is just single crochet, and with the new way of doing things, I will show you how I do my border stitch. Okay, so to do my first stitch, it is just going to be a single crochet. I'm going to insert my hook here through my slip knot, oops, excuse me, and find the beginning of my foundation row here. Again, you know, I just dropped it, so I have to figure it out again, but I know it's the first stitch when the point is pointing to the right. Okay, my new way of doing things is to go through the post of the stitch. My kids are awake. Is to go through the post of the stitch, but for this second row, I'm just going to show you single crochet through both loops. Just going to show you single crochet through both loops, and then on starting row 3, I'll show you how I go through the post to get these nice little V's here. But I'm not going to start that just yet. I'll start that on the next row, okay? So for this second row, just single crochet through both loops, and then we are going to do single crochet through the back loop only all the way across for this second row. So if you're not aware, you know, working on the top, you have that V that I'm telling you, the point goes to the right. Well, each leg of the V, each side, is a loop. So this one that's closest to you is called the front loop, and the one that's furthest away is called the back loop. And so I'm going to go in from the center and out and just grab that back loop only, right? Because a normal single crochet is you would kind of go under both of those loops. Well, I'm going to go under just the back loop only, single crochet. Remember, this is US terms. So I'm just going to do that all the way across, and then in the last stitch I'm going to do a single crochet through both loops. Okay, so while I go attend to my kids and finish this first row, you just work this up. If you need to re-watch how I started it, go ahead and rewind it, but if not, then we'll just press pause and we'll just finish this row. Okay, when I come back on, I will show you that single crochet through both loops for the ending border stitch. So we're not really paying much mind to the chart right now, because just the whole way across we're going to do the back loop. Okay, so we'll come back to this chart for row 3. Okay, see you later. Okay, so I have 2 more stitches here at the end of my second row, and this next stitch I'm going to do a back loop only single crochet, and then here's my last stitch, and I'm going to for the second row, for the purposes of the second row, I'm going to go through both loops, do a single crochet. Starting in the third row, I'm going to do a little bit different, but that is what I'm doing there. Okay, so the ending border stitch is a single crochet and through both loops for the second row. Okay, then remember at the end of each row, oh, my hook, at the end of each row, we're going to cut our yarn, cut our yarn, fasten off like so. Okay, do not leave in your ends. All right, once again, you just on our second row, you might wonder like which one is the front, which way is the back. That stitch V is going to point to the right. Another way is we went through the back loop, and you will see this ridge of front loops on the front side, and you don't see that on the back side. Okay, so we are ready to now finally start really looking at our chart to work our pattern. Row 3 is color A. So our beginning border stitch is outside of our repeat lines. So we're not going to be repeating that. We're just going to be working that up, and I will show you how I do that. Just got to find my color A. So I make my slip knot, insert my hook, and kind of tighten it up. And here's where my beginning border stitches and ending border stitches, this is where you really start to see the difference. You could probably work that up in row 2, but I just don't really know how to do it right now. So I'm going to go through the post of this first stitch here. So you see if I can kind of separate right there. You'll see that there's one line and one line of yarn right here. So I'm going to go right through the center of those. And then on the opposite side, I'm going to make sure that I kind of go in between again, so that you have this leg and this leg of the stitch behind to the right towards the tail. Let me show you this again. My hook is stuck because my stitches were kind of tight. Okay, so I kind of moved these aside to find the center of my post, the center of my stitch post. Normally, single crochet, you would work through up here through this V stitch like normal, but instead I'm going to go through this post, through this kind of V at the bottom. So go through the post, and then you're going to kind of pull that aside and go through the center in the back. I hope you can see that okay. I've seen a few designers do it this way. Baby Blanket, namely, and then just a couple others. And so now I'm going to see about doing my designs this way too. Okay, and then you work a standing single crochet. So grab the yarn and pull through. Oh, I messed that up somehow. Okay, and watch me do that again. So I'm going to go through that post, keeping these two legs to the right, and that way I can work the envelope border up a little easier, and it'll have something more firm to grasp onto than the way I used to do it. Okay, so now you have two loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through both of them. So that is how I'm going to be doing my beginning and my ending stitches, is going through the post like that. And then you can kind of see there's a fun V here and here that we will be working our envelope border into. Okay, sometimes this can get kind of confusing, so you can use highlighter tape, which I have somewhere. It's hiding in my messy house. Or you can use a pen or a marker, whatever. We've done row 1, we've done row 2. Okay, so as you're working your stitches, you might want to mark off your rows so you don't get confused. Okay, so straight away, we've done our beginning border stitch here, our A. Now for 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to start off with a bang with our drop down double crochets, or double crochet in the front loop only. So as you recall, on row 2 we did single crochets in the back loop. So now we're going to be using the front loop to do the double crochets. So English terms, to do a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, and then we're going to drop down. We're going to work in the front loop only 2 rows down. So when we do our drop down double crochets, we do our double crochets with the X's on them. We're going to be working like color A into color A rows, and we'll work the color B into color B rows. So that's how you know. You're going to drop down, you're going to crochet over color B and grab the color A. You're going to grab this white front loop that we didn't use from the previous row. So what I do is I kind of go down below and push my hook up through that front loop. Yarn over and go through that front loop. Now you have 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2 of them. Yarn over, go through 2 of them again. So that is the front loop only double crochet, or your drop down double crochet. You will want to definitely check your tension as you do this, and if you may want to go down a hook size if need be. You'll see that those front loops are a little bit looser, and so it kind of pulls up a little bit. The way that I crochet, you know, it'll pull up a little bit, but in the end it'll look really good. But if you find as your rows progress, if you don't like how it looks, you might need to go down a hook size. Okay. But for like this row, it doesn't look super great. Then I find out that it just kind of evens itself out as I go along. Okay. So row 1, or we just did stitch number 2, which is that first double crochet, front loop only. We're going to do 3 more. Okay. I did that really fast, so I did 2 and I need to do 2 more. I'll just do these next 2 slower because I know I might be talking to a bunch of beginners here. So I'm going to yarn over and then go up from the bottom of that front loop. Go up, yarn over, pull through, and then you finish your double crochet. Okay, yarn over and you find your next stitch. We haven't used this, we've used this loop, but not that one, so we know that's where our stitch is. Okay, can you see it? Go up, do that front loop, yarn over and pull through, and finish your double crochet. So we've just done these 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done those 4 X's, those 4 double crochets in the front loop only. Next, we will move to we'll move to these 3 black boxes, and they're empty. Okay, and they should be empty because we know the color is solid black, and I'm using the white. Okay, so the solid or the empty boxes just mean single crochet in the back loop only. So back loop only, single crochet, and you count the boxes, we'll do 3 of those. So let me go back and show you again. You have this front loop and this back loop, and we're just doing back loops. We're just going to push from the center to the back, grab that back loop only, single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then in this repeat, we have 3 more X's. Okay, 3 more double crochets, and that's what the repeat is, and that's our 10 stitch repeat. But then if you look at like the bigger picture, you'll see 3, we just, ignoring these 4. Okay, so we just did 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets, then 3 single crochets, then 7 double crochets, then 3 single crochets, and 7. And so that's kind of the repeat. Even though, yes, this is the repeating pattern, the way that this row works best, I find, is you do 3, 7, 3, 3, 7, 3. And for the whole pattern, in different places, you'll find that your repeat is just going to be 3 and 7, 3 and 7, 3 and 7. Just alternating stitches and alternating locations. So I found that when I worked at my sample, it's hard to be able to write that, you know, to definitely see that in the chart or to write it out in written instructions. But I find if you ignore like these first few stitches, you'll find a 3 and 7 repeat. So that's a little tidbit I'm sharing with you on this video for this pattern is we did 3 and now we're going to do 7 drop down double crochets, or double crochet in the front loop only. We're going to do 7 of those. And then we'll repeat that 3, 7, 3, 7, 3, 7, 3, 7 all the way to the end of the row for the most part. There'll be some extra bonus stitches at the end. But if you repeat those first 10 stitches over and over however many times you want, that's how to read the chart. So this first one is just a nice geometric, this first section of the cowl is just a nice geometric 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 simple repeat. Not all of the patterns in this cowl will be this way, but I did want to start out with this simple one just to get you guys to enjoy overlay mosaic and kind of learn more about it. Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do 3, 7, 3. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So I did 3 single crochets in the back loop, and now I'm going to do 7 front loop only double crochets in the 2 rows below, so that drop down double crochet. And I'm going to be doing 3, 7, 3, 7 all the way down. So pause the video, take your time, and work through row 3. If you find that it makes more sense to do 4 doubles, 3 singles, 3 doubles, and just repeat that over. 4, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, you could do that. But I just find, once I find the easy repeat, I'm just going to work that over and over again. Hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if it doesn't. But we're just going to press pause, and I'll meet you at the end. You'll end with, you notice right here at the end of your, this is at the end of 50 stitches, but at the end of 200 stitches, you'll see you'll end with 3, and then you'll do 4 more double crochets, and then we'll do our ending border stitch. Okay. I hope that makes sense. You might be new to charts, but that's how we're going to end, is with 4 double crochets instead of 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, and then we'll end with our ending border stitch, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, here I am. I'm at the end of row 3. I have 1, 2, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do number 4 right here. See, that's an extra stitch to kind of even out the pattern, because 1, 2, 3, 4 over here, and then a 4th one over here. So that's what that extra stitch is. The 50 plus 3. That's how that works out. Some patterns, the extra stitch doesn't really do anything for it, but we're just going to keep the extra stitch in because you want to know. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do our ending border stitch. And this is basically just going to be like a beginning border stitch, where we are going to work a single crochet through the post, through the V of that last single crochet. So we're going to work a single crochet. I'm going to go in between the stitch, in between that post, that V right there. And then on this side, we just want to make sure, that's not how it is. I want to make sure we have these two legs of the stitch on that side. See how there's two right there? Pull through. Sometimes these tails get in the way and you just kind of have to push them to the side, push them down. And there we go. And when we do, at the end of this cowl, we will do an envelope border around the whole thing, and we'll be able to work those in, those border stitches. Okay, I hope that made sense how I did that stitch. Just going through the post, in between that V, and then making sure we have like two legs of that stitch on the outside. Okay. Then at the end of every row, you're going to fasten off with a nice tail in case you make a little mistake and need to add an extra stitch or do whatever. If you make a mistake, you can easily pull that tail out and frog back however much you need. Okay. But hopefully I didn't make a mistake. Anyway, I'll just keep that loose like that in case I make a mistake. Okay, and there we have it. All 203 stitches of row 3. Okay, so what we've done is we've just worked kind of the bottom of these crosses here, or plus signs, or whatever we want to call them. So we've just worked the bottom. You notice we did it in white, but these single crochets right here, we're going to work over those in the next row. And wherever we have the red, we're going to do a drop down double crochet into these 3 stitches. And that's how we're going to just hide that white so that we get across. Does that make sense? Line it up there. Those go right here. And we're going to do these drop down double crochets. So let's look at the chart, and you can see that we've done all of that. You notice here we have these 4 stitches. We're going to work back loop single crochets in every one of these drop down double crochet stitches. And then here in the black, it'll be my red, we're going to do 1, 2, 3 X's, 3 front loop only double crochets in these 1, 2, 3 stitches. I hope that makes sense. I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, and the stitch repeat is 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. Remember, even if it's white or black, since we're doing the whole thing in color B, it doesn't matter. Just these 4 stitches, sorry I see the top of the screen, but these 4 stitches are going to be back loop only single crochet in color B. Even though it shows color A, color B, it's all going to be in color B. Okay, and then we'll work out the color changes in the rows coming up. Whenever there's an X, is the front loop only double crochet. Back loop, front loop only double crochet, excuse me. And then whenever the box is empty, it's a back loop only single crochet. So we got 4, 3, 3, or what it's going to turn out is 3, 7, 3, 7. Okay, just like we did below, 3, 7, 3, 7. But this time it'll be in reverse. Instead of 3 single crochets, it's going to be 3 double crochets, 7 single crochets, 3 double crochets, 7 singles. So it'll be reverse of this. So for row 4, where we're going next, all we're really going to do is work single crochets in the back loop for every double crochet, and then the front loop double crochet over all these reds. Okay, that was kind of confusing, but that's okay. So what we're gonna do is take our color B, and we gotta attach it. Okay, so we do our slip knot, insert the hook, pull it tight, go back to our beginning. You know this is beginning because we can see our double crochets. If we flip it over, we can start to see the stripes. So this is the wrong side and this is the right side. Okay, so we're going to do that beginning border stitch, which is going to be a standing single crochet through this V, through that post right there. Grab the yarn, pull through both of those loops. Okay, standing single crochet. And here, remember, according to the chart, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets in the back loop only. I promise you by now, or especially after this row 4, you will have the hang of this process, because it's going to be the same technique all the way up this section, and then all the sections it's going to be the same. So it's really pretty easy peasy. Okay, so I did my 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets in the back loop only. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 double crochets in the front loop 2 rows below. Okay, so I'm not going to do the front loop in row 3, this white. I'm not going to do front loop only here. I'm going to drop down to row 2 to this red. Okay, remember I said in the previous row, your X's are your front loop only double crochet 2 rows below. You drop down double crochet, and you're always going to work into the front loops of the same color. Okay, especially like if you're using 2 colors like we are for this pattern, it's going to be, the red is going to be worked in the red, at least for the front loop only double crochets. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, and I'm going to go from the bottom up through that 1 front loop, and then just finish off the double crochet. Okay, 2, and here's number 3. Okay, and then to finish off the repeat, we do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and so that's the repeat. That's the 10 stitches we do over and over and over again, but I'm going to combine it with the next one. Okay, so 3 plus these next 4, since we're just repeating, is 7. So just like before, we're going to do 7 back loop only single crochet. We'll do 3 front loop only double crochet in those 2 rows below. 3. We're just going to repeat this. 7 singles in the back loop. Like split my yarn. Okay. 2. If you're watching this, you know my lighting has changed. That's because I recorded the first part of this video around 1 p.m. while my kids were taking a nap, and now it's 7:30 p.m. when they're in bed. So this is how my life works. I just find little chunks of time to crochet and record. Okay, so I did my 7 single crochets, and I'm going to do my 3 double crochets, and that's what I'm going to be doing all the way down. We're doing that 20 times, right? Because it's a 10 stitch repeat and I have 200 stitches. Okay, so just do that until we get to the end of row 4, where we end with 4 single crochets in the back loop only, and then finish with our ending border stitch, like so. That's the end. I'm going to fasten off. I'm going to do a chain 1 and pull that out. So I fasten this off. That is row 4. So I'll come back over here and we've done row 4. And then we'll start row 5. It's a color A row. And I'm just gonna go through the first part of this, and then I'm just gonna end the video here. I'm not gonna show you how to do all that, because basically now you kind of get the picture. If you're just watching this video and you want the rest of this chart, I'm gonna link below the free chart. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my color A again. And I'm gonna go through that stitch. I'm trying to get both of these legs right here, so that most of this stitch, okay, you see how I'm through those legs? Most of the stitch is on that side. You went through that V. That's where we do our standing single crochet. Okay. All right. So we're going to do 2. You can see we're going to do 2 front loop only double crochets, and the stitch is the 2 rows below. So in these first 2, we're going to do 1, and these front loops, remember, 2, and 7 empty boxes means 7 back loop only single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then to finish off our stitch number 10 is this X right here. But as you can see, we'll do 3 X's, 7 singles. 3 doubles, 7 singles, 3 doubles, 7 singles, all the way down, okay? One, 2. You see how I'm kind of pulling that up a little bit? You notice down below where I've done that, it just kind of gets hidden. The way that I crochet, that's how it works. Other people might have a different problem, but it works for me to use a size 5. Okay, 7. Okay, I just wanted to show, now you can see that our X shape, or our cross shape, is really making its way here. Okay, if you just continue on this way all the way to the end of row 5, and then just follow the same technique we've been doing for all 25 rows of this section, you will have it, and it will look something like that. Okay, I really hope that you're enjoying this cal so far. You might be a little bit lost, but feel free to leave any comments below in this video, or head to my Facebook group, the Juniper and Oaks Crochet Community, where we're just talking about this cal and asking questions and sharing techniques and pictures and everything, and I'd love to see you over there. In the meantime, yeah, I'll probably pop on and add a little clip once I'm done with this whole section. But make sure that you subscribe to my channel, leave a comment about what colors you're using for your cowl, and if this is your first time doing this kind of crochet. I would love, 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 love to hear it. Let me know.